Okay. I want you to think of your favorite creator, okay? It could be anyone who creates art you enjoy or admire. Alright, got it? Picture this. So you're laying in bed, right? Headphones on, listening to your favorite creator. Maybe they're a YouTuber, maybe they're a rapper, and maybe it's an audiobook of your favorite author. As you space out, you think to yourself, what would it be like to meet this person? That would be insane, right? You would ask them all about their favorite shows, inspirations, and maybe even genuinely bond over a cup of something warm and soothing. But it's a pity that such a fantasy will never happen. A flash of light startles you off your bed. You look around frantically, desperate to take stock of your surroundings. There, standing just a few feet away from your bed, is your favorite creator. The one you wanted to meet so badly. You don't know how or why they're here, but you still can't bring yourself to believe what's just happened. Your eyes lock. You blink. They blink. And in another second, you're back on your feet again, extending an enthusiastic greeting to the flustered object of your affections. You rummage around in the cupboard for a few moments before producing a few snacks and setting them before your guest like an offering to a beloved deity. They seem hesitant, but eventually accept the gesture of goodwill. In a few minutes, the two of you are chatting like old friends. Now remember, you're still talking to your favorite creator of all time. The two of you are getting on better than you'd ever hoped. And yet, there's a strange void in the creator's eyes. As the hours draw on, they answer your questions with less and less enthusiasm. You become distressed. Finally, you blurt that you can see that something's obviously bothering them. Well, yes, actually, they say. Can I ask a favor of you? Euphoria floods your eyes. A chance to repay this person for all the good they've done you? Hell yeah, you think. You say that you'd do anything for them. Anything? They say, raising an eyebrow. You assure them that they need only ask. Your guest reaches behind them and asks that you close your eyes. You do so, and in a few moments, they place something in your hands. When bidden, you open your eyes and you're holding a gun. Put this to your forehead and pull the trigger, said your favorite creator, now eerily close. I wish to be entertained. You gaze at the gun in your hands. A pit in your stomach forms. This isn't like them. They're supposed to be kind and giving. They're supposed to love their fans. But somehow, you feel obligated. Forced to return the favor for all the good they've done you. Because, after all, how far would you go to satisfy the god you love? Wow, now that got weird really fast. Let's rewind this just a little bit. 1993. Despite living in the age of globalization, humanity has never been more divided. Wesley Allen Dodd, an infamous American serial killer, is executed in the last public hanging since 1965. A car bomb has just been detonated near the World Trade Center, killing 6 people and injuring over 1,000. The World Health Organization declares a global emergency because of a rise in tuberculosis cases. I could go on, but I've made my point. These were serious times. And so, to shut out the world of violence and despair that waits outside, you turn to a newfangled hobby for some much-needed escapism. Video games. Ever since you picked up a Sega Genesis from your favorite tech shop, you couldn't get enough of Sonic the Hedgehog, Battletoads, and your favorite, Super Street Fighter 2. Playing these games made your troubles just fall away, made you forget about all the strife and division of the world outside. When you were playing, there existed nothing but you, your games, and the adventures you created together. Games are a form of art, just like painting, music, or film. And there is power in art. And not just the power to make you laugh or cry. Although art can make us feel real feelings, that isn't what I mean. I mean real power. Power to influence, power to control. Art can give us a glimpse into a world beyond ours, one with fantastical rules and devoid of everyday troubles. This kind of art is known as escapist and is used by people who want to forget their troubles for a time. And sometimes people see others who can provide that escapism as more than human. Being a good artist means more than just making good art. It is potentially the ability to become superhuman in the eyes of the average man. But then something happened, something big. And that something was the World Wide Web. The minute you booted up the internet for the first time, you knew you were in for something special. In the outside world, no one knew you were a gamer, but here you could find other people who shared your love for Street Fighter. You'd talk almost every day about combos and broken characters and what you'd do if you ever met up in real life. You were able to escape the outside world even further. Fast forward 8 years to 2005. You've been done with school for years now, having replaced it with a job. You've moved out of your parents' place, and now you've got your own. It's messy and smelly, but somehow you want to be there more than anywhere else. You live and breathe video games every spare minute you have, every moment when you're not tied down with work or friends. Well, I mean, not friends, obviously. We know you don't have any of those. You also spend ungodly amounts of time in online chat rooms getting to know other people who enjoy the things you do. But you've heard rumors of something bigger and better than online chat rooms. Namely, a little indie video sharing site named YouTube. YouTube wasn't the first online video sharing platform, but it would grow to be the undisputed most popular contender. In 2 more years, YouTube had consumed as much bandwidth as the entire internet in the year 2000. And all of that was almost 100% user-generated content. Average Joes like you and me with a camera and a microphone. And this would become your new escape. You see, what YouTube did was just an extension of what the internet could now do. Introduce millions to a variety of user-generated content. Whether it was art, music, film projects, or the literal 10,000 terabytes of porn, good God, that's a lot of porn, anyone's creations could now be shown to the masses. Talent was easier to spot and appreciate. You didn't need investors or publishers anymore. If people liked what you had to say, then they would just like your videos and subscribe. Suddenly, anyone could be an artist. Fame wasn't just a Hollywood fantasy anymore. It was now possible from the comfort of your own home. And this is, most likely, where the majority of current artists you like come from. The internet. And maybe you've tried your own hand at making content. Whether it's reposting memes or trying viral challenges, you might have chased your own little slice of the creator's pie. But once you get one tiny nibble, you might just find it intoxicating. Before the internet, in order for someone to be known by tens of thousands of people, you had to have the backing of influential people and potentially millions of dollars. Either that, or you would have to have near perfect levels of luck and talent. Anything less, and you'd be relegated to filling out newspaper gaps with soap opera trash, designed to be used up and forgotten. Your work might be remembered for a short time, but you never would. But when the internet happened, everything changed. Now your work could be sought out and enjoyed by people who had never heard your name before. People from across the globe. And you didn't even have to be the best. All you had to be was you. What I'm trying to say is that by introducing a wider audience to more diverse user-generated art, you bred a new generation of artists. One that wasn't trying to compete with big studios or Hollywood, but a generation of each artist attempting to prove themselves in their own way. No longer were you trying to play a piano song better than the next guy, you were playing the song staring at the ceiling with banana peels over your eyes. This is your new generation of artists, and while it may seem crazy at the time, this was the new generation of people who would become your children's gods. History has not been kind to most artists. In the past, it was considered in many societies more useful to have skill and martial prowess than with the quill. In the time we call the Enlightenment, Europe began moving away from that attitude. Even then, you could still be a pretty good musician, artist, or poet and go unnoticed your entire life. You might be known in your family as a great artist, or even throughout your entire town, but you would never be appreciated by hundreds of thousands or even millions of people. That meant that when you were seen by hundreds of thousands of people as the talent you were, it was a really big deal. People like Mozart, Beethoven, and Shakespeare were practically worshipped as gods because of the influence they wielded. In reality, they were just really talented artists who were incredibly lucky enough to be recognized for what they were. But still, they obtained obscene wealth, connections to royalty, and even positions in the military. All because basically they created art that people liked. If you think about it, it's like a superpower. All Shakespeare needed was a pen, paper, and a good cast, and because of it, he became one of the most influential people in Europe of his time. He was, in many ways, a god among men. And while the barrier to entry of fame and fortune has been widened by the internet, the stigma that the masses have towards a creator that they enjoy remains the same. People throughout history have recognized great artists as gods among men. And as we will soon see, that has not changed. Okay, I'm about to say a name. I want you, the viewer of this video, to say the first thing that comes to mind once I do. Okay, Ready? L. Ron Hubbard. If you immediately thought of his golden age science fiction novel, Final Blackout, then I applaud your taste, even if you're a dirty fucking liar. But most of you probably thought of the word Scientology. Now, what exactly is Scientology? Well, there are actually a lot of videos on this platform that explain it much better than I ever could. But Scientology is a real-world cult that follows a series of beliefs found in Hubbard's book Dianetics, released in 1950. Scientology is massive, even today. Some of Hollywood's biggest stars are even involved with it. Most famous of which is probably Tom Cruise, who credits much of his current career success to the Church of Scientology. But for every cult, there is a god. Or rather, if you will, a Jesus, a messiah bearing precious knowledge pertaining to salvation. Someone who is worshipped as being without equal and without replacement. L. Ron Hubbard was that messiah. Only he wasn't. See, as you have probably guessed, Hubbard wasn't a cult leader or even a man of any particular religious affiliation. What he was an author. He wrote science fiction and pulp fiction for most of his early career. His book that started Scientology, Dianetics, was itself science fiction, but it was so good that people wanted to believe it. So when Hubbard began to weave his own religion around his writings, his fans followed him as if in a trance. To him, he was their god, literally. Trickster god who manipulated them and pulled their strings, siphoning money from their wallets and hope from their eyes. But Hubbard didn't convince people to join Scientology based on works alone. It took money, lots of it, and friends in high places to get the word out. Effectively, this is all that was standing between you and making your own cult. That is, before the internet. And one of the things the internet does is remove that barrier to entry. Now anyone can become an influential artist with cult-like authority. Anyone can become a god. And what happens when you use the power and authority of a god irresponsibly? What do you know about Austin Jones? As soon as I said that name, there were a bunch of you who immediately knew where this was going. This is because Jones is only a widespread example of what happens to popular artists who don't have the integrity to manage the power they've been given. Before I explain what happened to Jones, I want to ask a question. If popular artists are our gods, then what can kill a god? Austin Jones was an indie pop musician working from the late 2000s to the early 2010s. He captured the same audience and vibe as Justin Bieber, that is, if you still remember that guy. And all things considered, he made pretty good music, although it's nowhere near my speed. I prefer metal in its various forms. Feels overdone, and the battle has begun. Nowhere to run. So what happened to this guy? His music was fine, his fan base was steadily growing, and he was even starting to go on his own tours. Well, we don't even have to wonder, because he told us himself.
I've recently come under some fire on social media for mistakes I've made in the past. I used to ask fans for twerking videos. Yes, twerking the dance move. You dumb, stupid fuck.
To be honest, you probably saw that coming. And while I wanted to make this bit a dramatic reveal, I just couldn't. These things are too common. Austin Jones, Shane Dawson, P. Diddy, Reflay, Stephen McCullough, and I could go on. And on, and on. The point is that the internet has allowed a lot of people with genuine talent to take on the mantle of godhood through art. But while a lot of people have talent worthy of a god, they don't have anywhere near the integrity to maintain it. We see gods as above ourselves, paragons of charisma, kindness, humor, and skill. This is because artists show us the best versions of themselves in their art. And since we actually know very little about them, it's easy to fill in those gaps with desired character traits. Take Dream, for example. If you don't know Dream, and I don't even know why I'm bothering to fucking explain this because everyone on the internet fucking knows Dream, he was the world's most popular Minecraft YouTuber. This was owed to a number of things, but possibly the most influential is the fact that none of his fans had ever seen his face. Throughout his time on YouTube, he had meticulously hidden all evidence of his physical appearance from the internet. This was an impressive feat, and lent an air of mystery to his character. Dream fans were allowed to experiment and create their own theories about what lay behind the mask. Was he a devilishly handsome man of mystery? Perhaps a horribly disfigured monstrosity? And you know, just maybe he was a child of the infinite void whose mind had been stretched to meaningless lengths due to the bounds of formless matter pushing in on all sides of his soul, causing it to helplessly shatter into myriad fragments, each cursed with the realization that life is finite and one can only gain wisdom by peering deep into the twin pools of his eyes and knowing that the truth of the cosmos as an unending stretch of perpetual nothingness? Or maybe he was just some nerdy white kid with bad acne, which he actually turned out to be, much to everyone's disappointment. Before the face reveal, there was a ton of discourse surrounding what lay beyond the mask, as well as a fair share of fan art playing off that idea. All of that instantly disappeared after the face reveal. When you have a gap in a person's character that you have filled with something fantastical, it's instantly ruined by the truth that who you idolize isn't someone with godlike levels of charisma, skill, and kindness. That's why when you find out your favorite creator is actually a despicable person, you feel betrayed because of the trust you put in them. That idealized version of them you formed in your mind is replaced by the far less lustrous truth. This is how you kill a god. You expose them for what they are. Broken, fallible humans. But the good news is that most artists are not revealed to be despicable people. They maintain their godhood and use it with responsibility. Sometimes they have lapses, like the legendary Pewdiepie and his equally legendary bridge incident. This instance allowed Pewdiepie's fans to peek into the flawed man behind the god, but he luckily produced one of the best YouTube apologies to ever grace the platform. He managed to maintain his godhood for what it was worth. And for people who worked hard to get to the place where they are, that is admirable of them. Our gods deserve the power we give them. From the money to the fame, people in the right time in the right place working hard to achieve their goals really do deserve everything they have. But there's one more thing I still have to talk about. We've addressed how easy the internet has made it for ordinary people to become gods through their skills in an art form. We've discussed what it's like when artists mismanage their godhood and how it can result in the loss of that godhood. But what about a god's influence over their followers? What could a follower be persuaded to do in the name of their god? Now, are you subscribed to Pewdiepie? Well, chances are you might just be one of his 110 million subscribers. And while that's truly a fuck ton of subscribers, it's only a third of the most subscribed YouTube channel on the platform. But there was a time when Pewdiepie wanted to change that. If you're old enough, you may remember the Subscribe to Pewdiepie movement. It was a global campaign in 2019 to make him the most subscribed YouTuber on the platform through a series of collabs and shoutouts. Again, if you remember this thing, you know that it was massive. Popular YouTubers were in on it. Young people around the globe rallied in support of their favorite creator. Planes flew his banner. Hackers spread the message through malware. Cheerleaders displayed the slogan during timeouts. He even got support from the United Kingdom's Independence Party, who publicly supported the worldwide campaign. The entire movement was an homage fit for a god. After all, it was meant to exert PewDiePie's power and authority over the platform of YouTube. But unfortunately for everyone involved, the campaign had worked far, far too well. It had worked fatally well. The date is March 15, 2019. A man named Brenton Tarrant is about to carry out a series of mass shootings on mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, that will end the lives of 51 people. He is live streaming the entire atrocity for thousands to watch on social media. Before the carnage starts, however, he bids his viewers one thing.
Remember, lads? Subscribe to Pewdiepie.
Now, just to be clear, I would be an idiot to even entertain the idea that PewDiePie had any role to play in the Christchurch shootings. But something about PewDiePie's art had touched this sick, twisted individual in a genuine way. For all of Tarrant's twisted manifestos and horrific cruelty, there was still some tiny sliver of humanity in even one of the most despicable killers of modern day. This man had killed in the name of his gods, and one of those gods was PewDiePie. PewDiePie obviously never wanted something as gruesome and evil as the Christchurch shooting to ever happen. But because of the influence he'd obtained, his name was now forever associated with this act of brutality. It's what ultimately ended the Subscribe to Pewdiepie campaign we were talking about earlier. PewDiePie's power had inspired fans young and old, internet dwellers and ordinary people, and even the powers that be to bend the knee to his influence. But it had also become associated with an atrocity of cruelty and hate. And because of it, we see PewDiePie's godhood stripped from him. Behind it all isn't someone who's incredibly good, charismatic, or even skilled. It's just a normal dude. Someone scared and confused that such great evil would be committed in their name. Sometimes we look at our favorite artists as our gods, stronger, kinder, and more skilled than we could ever be. So high above us that we can't comprehend what they truly are. Behind all the challenge videos, brilliant lyrics, and philanthropic endeavors is just a person. Someone who created something that gave them godlike powers. Some of them used that power well, others abused it. But what we must remember about our self-made gods is that they are not really the superhuman deities we make them out to be. They are human, as broken and scared as the rest of us. Hey guys, congratulations on making it to the end of the video. If I sound a little husky, it's because I'm recording this shit at 7 a.m. God, I should not be up this late. But anyway, if you liked the video, just feel free to leave a like and a sub, blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna beg you for that, but I mean, you made it to the end of the video, so you know, might as well. And without further ado, love you, fuck you, stay safe, goodbye.